Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Pink Lady Against Scammers podcast. And it's the Pink Lady, Patsy, here again. Again, I have Yvette, Ivy Princess 56 from TikTok as my guest co-host. Hi, Yvette.
Hello. How are you? Thank you for bringing me back. And
Oh, you do such a great job. I can just sit here, so I like it.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Yes. Today's guest is Beth. And Beth was here to tell
Hello.
us her scam story. So, Beth, welcome. I'm so excited to talk to you. Give us a
Yes,
little
thank you for
background.
having me.
Give us a little background, and then let's get into the story. A
Okay,
background of yourself. Let me try that.
I figured that's what you meant.
Yes.
I am originally from the Detroit area, in Michigan, and I lived there pretty much all my life until I moved to LA a few years ago for a year. I got divorced 5 years ago, after a 16-year marriage, and it was a good thing. It was time. We didn't have anything in common. It was time for me to move on. And then I decided, because I started getting into acting, and then I moved to LA for about a year and 2 months, and then decided that I love the ocean. I love the warm weather, but decided it was too congested and too pricey. So I have a friend from the Detroit area who moved to Kalamazoo out in the west side of the state, and I came to visit her, and then I found a really good job in Portage, and so I settled here about a year and a half ago now. So, and I've been doing, as I mentioned to you earlier, comedy improv. There's a wonderful community here, and I've been taking classes, and I did my first performance on their stage about 2 weeks ago, and it was very fun. And
Oh,
we're forming a
Yay.
start performing and traveling and stuff. So it's been my go-to ever since my scam ended. I was doing it before that, but I just dove right in. I just decided I'm going to live my life to the fullest, and that's what I did. And now it's getting me places. So it's been great.
that's awesome. Just remember us when you're like rich and famous. And if you like meet Chris
Yes,
Evans, you got to introduce me.
I
Oh,
will.
Jason Momoa.
Yeah,
Oh, Jason Momoa.
he's my
Yeah.
cougar crush. I have a sign I do on my lives every night with him. And I know everybody's like, Patsy, enough with Chris Evans. So, but anyway, go ahead. Tell us your story of what happened.
Okay. They're always long stories, aren't they? Um, so as I mentioned, I settled here about a year and a half ago, and last summer I started feeling kind of, I don't know if it was depressed, but kind of down and isolated. And I think it was because, in a year's time, I moved across the country twice. And I was, out in LA. I mean, it was a lot of pressure to make ends meet. And I felt like I was just always kind of stressed. And when I got here and settled here and knew this was home, it was almost like I had been holding my breath, and I finally exhaled, and everything just like hit me all at one time. So last summer, that's kind of the space I was in. And then in the fall, I started to come out of it. And I wondered if, I'd been divorced like 4 years, and I wondered if maybe it was time to start dating again. And so I have two coworkers that met their significant others on Tinder. And I tell people we have 8 people in the office. So that's like a quarter of success stories on Tinder. So I'm like, why not? So like one of my coworkers, we went outside the building and I did this like photo shoot. So I got all these recent pictures of me and got my profile up. And then I kind of was dabbling for a couple months. And then um, it was October 16th last year, I matched with a man who called himself Richard Daub, which of course that's not his real name. And we just started chatting, and it just was going really well. It was just really like we connected. We had a lot in common. Um, and it moved really fast. And I was always about moving slow and taking my time. I wasn't in a hurry. I was starting to wonder if maybe I was too set in my ways to be with somebody. And then all these feelings started to develop really quickly. And so I talked about wanting to meet, and this was maybe a week in, and we had planned to meet that second weekend after we matched, and suddenly he had to go to San Diego. And
Oh,
geez,
really?
what a
Gee.
coincidence. Um, he said he was a freelance project manager for a construction company, which is a very, very common profession for scammers.
Hmm.
And there was a project over there that was getting behind. And so he had to go over there and find out what's going on. And that second weekend when he got there, I wanted to we I wanted to have a face-to-face Zoom call and or FaceTime or whatever. Skype call is that's what he was using, was Skype. And
By the
he
way, they use a lot of Skype, Telegram,
yes.
and other ones.
Sanji
Yes.
and Google
Yeah.
Chat, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I heard, that Skype was a big one.
Hmm.
So he actually did call. It was a deep fake, obviously. But he like my sound wasn't working. So I saw him enough to see that it was his picture, but I didn't, it was like a 30-second thing. And then, oh, he had to go. And then after that, "Oh, I have to get to a meeting." How convenient.
Hmm.
That night, and this scammer, he had really good English, like verbal and written, and so that had me fooled. That told me that they were like really experienced. So that was a Sunday evening, and then after he texted and said, everything got behind. He had to fire his site manager, some workers, and he didn't know if he was ready for this because he had to concentrate on all of this. And he said, if you want to find somebody else, I understand. And I'm like, I don't want to find anybody else, but okay. Then we talked on the phone, and then the next day I was like, whatever. I don't need this. Usually when guys say that, they're gone. Well, we kind of talked about still staying in touch and being friends. Then that morning he texted me and I'm like, I can't talk right now. I'm busy. I gave him the cold shoulder.
I
And then,
like it.
um, yeah. And then because the night before I told him that I was upset, and he's like, well, tell me why you're upset. And so I sent him a message and just told him like, you did this 180 on me. And and then that night I said, I need a couple days. I think I need some space because I'm angry. And then he kept telling me that he still wanted me, and he made a mistake. And um so we talked for a bit, and like it was very heartfelt, but I still kind of have my guard up. And then the next day I woke up and all these romantic feelings hit me. And so I messaged him. I'm like, I don't need space. He had me in his grip so quick, and like I can see the love bombing. I can look back and see how that all happened. And I had one moment that day that he said he was flying to San Diego. I had a brief moment because I Googled him. I could not find him when I Googled him and anywhere. And I thought, well, can people hide themselves when they do a Google search? And I read somewhere like a couple sites said yeah. So I'm like, okay, I'll believe that. It's easier to believe. But that like evening, I said to myself, something is really wrong. And I had that feeling. And then later that night, I hadn't even talked to him, and I'm just sitting on my couch, and then all these romantic feelings hit me, and it was almost like it just washed all that away. And I look back and I'm just dumbfounded at the manipulation. It was like being in another realm. That's what I said. Like, so that's what I tell people. It's like being kidnapped by aliens and then coming back and looking back and saying, what the heck just happened?
Hmm.
So we continued. I'm trying to remember. how long we chatted. We continued to chat, and just things got more and more intense, and it just like, my God, we became unofficially engaged. I mean, he was like the love of my life, and he was so convincing. And we talked about like when he was going to move here, of course,
Mm-hmm.
and talked about getting married. And um had a trip planned to LA in December to go see my friend. And then he was in San Diego, of course. So we talked about like a few days before I came home, meeting up and flying back together. And then he was talking about this project he completed a couple years ago during COVID, that still there was a payout, but they hadn't paid him because everybody had to get out quick. And so at one point he messaged me and said, like, he was telling me that he has a meeting with their board and they're talking about maybe giving him this big payout. And so he texted me one day and said, um, I've got a letter of invitation, but I have to go to Qatar now to
Oh,
get the
wow.
money. I'm like, oh, shoot. But I said, is that going to delay your return? And he said, no, it'll be planned the same day that we would have returned from LA. So I think this was November. It was like the day before Thanksgiving. He flew to Qatar. I always put everything in quotes because none of this really happened.
I
Like
get it.
everything is in quotes. So he went over to Qatar, and he had to have this meeting, he had to hire a lawyer and also a translator because it was in the Middle East. And so he was like paying money to to the lawyer and sending me the receipts. And people asked me, didn't that seem suspicious that he was sending you receipts? I thought at the time, no, because it felt like we were a couple and he's sharing this information with me. So it
Mm-hmm.
felt perfectly normal. And so he at one day he went to log into he said he was having trouble logging into his account. And so the second day he was still having trouble, and he's like, "Will you try for me?" And I said, "Of course, honey." And so I tried, and of course I got in and paid the lawyer the second payment. The transfer went through, and of course now I know that's how they gain your trust. They use a fake account and have you do that so you trust them. And of course I'm like, God, you trusted me with his bank account information. um the next day he had to pay the translator, and he couldn't log in. I tried, of course, at this point I couldn't log in. And he's like, he had to have this meeting in like 2 days, and he had to have the translator there. So he's like, I've got to go. I got to figure this out. I got to call my account manager with my bank and figure out what's going on. Um, so later that day he called and he said, I I can't do anything. I have to go in person to like unfreeze the account. And the bank it's a real bank, which it's not a common bank. I think it's for people that have more money. Um, but the bank is in England, so he can't get to his money. And he never asked me for money, but like the next day or two goes by. He said he was trying to, first of all, I said, I've got money in my retirement, but I couldn't get the money for like 10 days. It would take some time. He goes, and he was even telling me, just honey, just relax. I've talked to my friend. I'm going to see if he can help. So he was trying to act like, I don't want to burden you with this. I'm not going to ask you for money. But of course, when he wasn't able to get the money, I'm like, why wouldn't I help my fiance? So I told him, I said, I'm going to try to get some loans out for you. And of course, he started crying these fake tears, and saying like no one's ever loved him like this before. And it
Oh,
sounded
my
so
God.
real,
Mm-hmm.
and he was so good at that. And so I got the loans out, and then he said the best way, like before, to do this was through crypto because he's out of the country. That's how his friend would have done that.
Right.
So,
Right.
and this was $21,000. And I'm like, now I'm like, what translator is $21,000? But in the moment, you don't care. You don't question anything. If you do, it's like a question and then it goes out of your head and you just, why would you believe that someone, like, I had not really heard much about romance scams. So why would I believe that he was doing this? So I got I got a loan for 15,000 and then a cash advance on a credit card for 5,000. And so I started taking out some cash and so I think I did this in maybe 4 transactions over the course of the next 4 or 5 days. I um paid him through a Bitcoin ATM. And of course, with all the ATM fees, I took out, like, he's not even asking here. I'm like, but you need this full amount, so I'm gonna go get you another loan. I'm just like offering money. It's like he's probably he must have been like, wow, this is too easy. So I got the loans, like the other loan I was able to get before because the other ones didn't hit my credit report. And
Mhm.
um, I remember asking myself, I'm like, I'm pretty frugal with money. And I'm like, if could I live with losing this money if this didn't work out or if he takes my money and runs? And it's amazing that I kind of had that awareness. And I told myself, you know what? Yes, I could live with it because I will know that I did it for love and I will know that I wouldn't even care about the money if this went wrong. And sure enough, I that's the last thing that is on my mind, really.
Mhm.
So he got the money. He, of course, and he had the meeting. And this was the day I left for LA. And so the next step was to talk to the financier about, like, how do we get the funds? And so when I was in LA for the next week, we were communicating and we were supposed to meet Friday. For some reason I had this feeling this was not going to happen. I always in my heart, I could not imagine him actually being here. It's almost like I just chalked it up to my own fear or insecurity because we hadn't met yet. So I think it was that Monday he had his meeting and they said, to get the funds, he has to also do an inspection on the property. I'm like, you're not gonna come home Friday, are you? And he's like, I don't know. And it's like I knew it. And sure enough, of course, he didn't come home. And see, I get back from LA and oh yeah, he's talking to the financier about, like, you know, can I have my fiance help with the funds portion so I can do the inspection? Let me get this done quicker. So I become this beneficiary. And they were wondering, I guess the company was wondering, do you want this via a check? And this is $10 million. Is that $10 million payout? So he said,
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Mhm.
like,
Yeah.
why is this job so much more than your other jobs? Like, all of a sudden you got 10 million, like 5 million was supposed to go to like contractors, and we would have 5 million for us. And so he talked to the financier, yes, about having me handle the funds part of it. And then I became the beneficiary and I filled out this fake beneficiary form. And so he was asking me, should we do this crypto or the check? If we do it via check, it'll take longer and there's more fees. And so I'm like, well, maybe we should just do this via crypto. He's having me make the decisions, of course. And
Mhm.
so um once I filled out the form, he sent me an email to send to their customer service uh department, which I did. And then they assigned me an account manager, which it was through WhatsApp. And it's like, now I'm like, well, this transaction would never be done through WhatsApp.
Mhm.
Excuse me. So I reached out to the account manager, which is one of the scammers, of course. Like,
Mhm.
looking back, I'm like, yeah, I know all this now. Um, and so he got the form. They asked for a copy of my driver's license. They didn't
Mm.
ask for my social security number, though. Usually forms like that's another flag. Those beneficiary forms always ask for a social security number. So And then he confirmed my account, and then he said, okay, the money will be there within 24 to 48 hours. And sure enough, 48 hours later, I log into that account and there's $10.1 million there. And I asked him before, I'm like, well, how do we convert this to cash? How do I transfer this money? He goes, once it shows up, we'll talk about that. So at this point, I think it's December 22nd, and I am chatting with the account manager, and he's like, oh, he goes, in order to activate the account, it's a $50,000 fee. I'm
Oh
like,
my God.
Of course.
are you
Of course.
kidding me? Of course. Are you kidding? It's funny because I thought something was up, but I still didn't think scam. I thought maybe he was being scammed by this company. That's what I
Yeah.
wanted to believe.
Yeah.
So I'm telling him this, and of course he's like, oh no, like what should we do? And I said, I have money in my retirement account. And I said, I felt so hesitant. I'm like, this is a lot of money. At this point, I can't even, like, if I need money for my retirement to pay these loans off, I wouldn't be able to do that. And
Mm-hmm.
so I said, let me talk to my financial advisor. And so I think about an hour later, he called, and I have a pretty good relationship with him. So something told me to tell him the whole story of what happened. I had never said this out loud. And when I said it out loud, still not thinking scam, I still felt like this sounds really bad. Like I could see why this would sound so bad to somebody. Like I've never met
Mm-hmm.
this. And so him and his team have been trained in romance fraud. And he's like, I am obligated to tell you this. And he was so hesitant to tell me, but he's like, I believe you are in a romance scam. And I'm like, what? And I kept thinking, no, we're in love. No. And, but like, I couldn't believe it, but I could not ignore it. And so he said, I have to call in the fraud department. We may need to put a freeze on your account. I mean, they can't do that permanently because they can't tell you what to do with your money. But he's like,
Mm-hmm.
I need you to be like 60% sure to 60, 70. I'm like, I'm at about 30 right now. I'm like, you got to give me time to wrap my head around this. So at this point, like, it's hard to believe I'm not ready to cut him off. I'm like, what should I do? He goes, okay, tell him that I am going out of town for a couple weeks. It's the week between his birthday's the week between Christmas and New Year's, and he normally does go out of town. Tell him that you cannot get any money until I'm back. You have to sign a release form and I have to be there. And so that would be 2 weeks later, and then the money would still take about 7 to 10 days after that. So we're like, stall him. So for the next like week, I played with him. I'm like, I told him that I can't get the money, and I said, but I said, at first it was hard. I was talking to him and knowing that I'm probably in a scam, but I was just really upset. But I was able to hide that behind the fact that he wasn't coming home too. Um, so another point, I was talking to my financial advisor. He's like, see if you can get some of your money back. Tell him you have the type of retirement where the taxes are due up front, which I didn't have that type of IRA, but a regular IRA, you do have to. He's like, tell them you need like $7,000 to get this money and to use your acting skills. He's like, see if you can like get them to get some of your money back. So I tried. I messaged him and told him all this. And I'm like, honey, but I know we can do this. I'll do whatever it takes to get you home, and see if you could just help me out with this one thing. And he said he would try like to ask his friend. And he was divorced. His sob story was he had a daughter that died a year ago, and then 2 years ago him and his wife divorced because she cheated on him with his best
Of course.
friend. Like that was
Of
his sob.
course.
That's
Of
the
course,
norm.
I meant to mention that earlier. Like there's the sob story. So he kept like, I didn't know how much look because this was getting painful. And so he wasn't really coming back with anything. I was thinking they have to decide if 50,000 is worth seven, to them, like
Yeah.
giving me
Yeah.
seven. Um, so I started telling people like 20 minutes after I found out that I'm in a scam, I called my friend and I thought long and hard about it because I thought if he's real, then I'm going to be betraying him by telling people I'm in a scam. But I just never felt so lonely in that moment so quickly. So I was telling my friends and I told my family, and then I finally, it was a week after I found out. Um, actually, let me back up to Christmas Day. This happened 3 days before Christmas. And I was watching my friend's dogs for a couple weeks. So I was staying at her house and I had Christmas night off anyway. I drove to Detroit, stayed in a hotel and watched the Tinder Swindler. That was my Christmas night. But it
Oh my
helped. It helped me
God.
understand a little bit. It was like the worst Christmas ever. But I met with my aunt the next day and told her what happened. And then um, I came back later that weekend. I think they were having their Christmas. Yeah, they were gone for Christmas. So my cousin, they were having Christmas like around the 20, I think it was the 29th. And so they're like, just block him. And I'm like, no, he needs to know that I know. So my cousin's daughter came up with like this little poem to send to him, and it said, a poem from your queen, which, Nigerian scammers, it's all about my queen.
Hmm.
So I sent that and then I blocked him. And of course, in Gmail, blocked emails go to spam. It doesn't
Yeah.
delete them.
Yeah.
Next day, I couldn't help myself, but I checked. And there was a message. And he came back with this whole heartbreak story. Like, how could you think this of me? You broke my heart. And I'm like, okay, I'm not giving him any more money. I knew that I was out of it enough, but I have to, your emotions are tied into this. So
Yes.
I had to know for sure. I had to see, did I really break his heart? Let me see where this goes. And so the next couple days, this guilt trip was just, he even threatened to, like, he's like, what if I had taken my own life? I'm like, what? And so it just felt so yucky, and this whole poor me, and you broke my heart. But you know what? I still love you and I can't stop loving you and I can't leave you and I can't stay mad at you, but you broke my heart. It was this back and forth gaslighting BS.
Gaslighting. Yeah.
Gaslighting, yes.
Yeah.
And so it was only a couple days later, I just like, I don't know, the night before I cut it off for good, I was actually doing a meditation and something hit me. I'm like, I need to end this, real or not. This is feels so toxic, and I don't want to deal with someone who's threatening suicide.
Hmm.
So the next day, and then I also read another article on romance scams just to refresh my memory. Like I reread an article and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a scam. So one of my coworkers was helping me out with this big email, this big cutoff email, and confronting him. So I cut it off, and one more time tries to come back and say, nothing I say or do is going to convince you until I'm home. It's because we haven't met. And I'm real. The lie is the fear in your mind. And you're going to break, or you're going to get sick emotionally and mentally if you keep telling yourself this. Just stop pushing me away. And then I just said, I don't trust you. I don't believe you. I don't want to talk to you. But you know what? Prove me wrong, bring me back my money, and then maybe we'll talk. And then like the next day, I could tell they were gone. They were off Skype. And so they really tried hard.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, they're very persistent. Very
Very
persistent.
Yeah.
persistent. Let me
Yeah.
ask you a question, Beth. How long? 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, all this was going on with the
It
first
was,
21,000 and
oh, how long did I give him money, or how long did the scam go on? The whole,
this the scam go on.
I was with him for 2.5 months, but
Okay.
the money I gave, the first 20, it was 26 total after the ATM fees. That happened over the course of like 4 days in early December. And then
Oh
that
my
was the
God.
bill up to the 50,000. Yeah, it was all one chunk. They didn't start small. They went for the big one.
Okay.
So yeah.
Did
And
he never show his real face at the end? He just ghosted you and he was gone after you
yeah,
sent the email.
Yeah, after I cut them off, I think they gave up, and I've never heard threats. I've never heard anything after that. I still struggled. I still had hope. Until I did find the real profile. I found the real person. Um, I think I even drunk messaged him once and said, I know you're a scammer, but I still love you. And then I sent it on Skype and email. And Skype, you can you can remove the message where both people don't see it, but you can't in
Mhm.
email. So I didn't hear anything, but I was like, oh man. And I look back and I know it was hard. It was I mean, they have you in so deep and it's so addicting. It's like a drug. It's so hard to pull away. So,
Yes.
I mean, I'm still struggling, of course,
So
it's,
he was calling you queen, all this love bombing queen, my love, I cannot live without you.
You're so
Trust me,
beautiful
you're
and
so beautiful, you the love of my
oh yeah.
life.
Yep. You're the one for me. I was
Hmm.
born to love you. It just a constant. It was, I mean, every time we talked, almost like if he wasn't saying something wonderful, I was thinking something was wrong. Like that's all he did was tell me how wonderful and beautiful I was, and just he was proud of me. I mean, just everything. I'm talented. I'm amazing. Everything. Yes.
was
This
this
is a
last,
question.
oh, go
Go
ahead.
ahead, go ahead.
I was just gonna
Okay,
say, was
this
this
is,
last Christmas? Oh,
go
we're
ahead.
fighting here. No, was this last Christmas?
Yes. Just this past
Okay,
Christmas.
I hope this Christmas is better.
Yes,
I think
definitely.
it has to be like I
Yes,
Has
started
to.
thinking
yes.
of sending a scam and I'm like, it's got to get better
I'm
from
sending you
here.
a Christmas card. I'm gonna put you on my Christmas card list.
And if you come to LA, let me know because I'm in San Diego.
Oh, oh, nice. Okay.
Okay.
So my
But
scammer was close to you.
I guess so. But I have a question for you, and this is something that I know it go like this quick. How long took him to tell you I love you?
You know, let's see. Let's see. Okay, we matched on a Monday. The following Wednesday, we were both like, he said, I'm falling for you. And because I remember a day or two before saying, oh my God, am I falling for this guy? And I said it back. But then it was the following week after the fake breakup and getting back together. He kept asking me, like, I want to know, how do you feel? He wanted me to say it first. And I said, I'm falling in love with you. And then I said, no, wait. I said, I am completely and 100% in love with you. And he said, we're on the same page. He always said that we're on the same page. So it was
Mhm.
like a week and a half, maybe a
So
week and
you
a half.
was able to listen to his voice, his real voice?
Oh, yeah. He had no looking. Are you thinking like accent? Did he have an accent or?
Mm-hmm.
He,
Yeah.
when listening to other Nigerians, I can see now that it wasn't a really, really thick Nigerian accent. He said he was French. And I know that a lot of Nigerians are French too, I think. So I don't know
No,
if they're not. I
no,
thought
they're not. No.
they're not.
The,
Okay. I thought I heard that
uh,
there's a lot of French people over there okay.
no.
So it wasn't super thick, but I probably just wanted to believe it's what he told me. So
Mm-hmm.
it was, yeah. So it was, yeah. But sometimes it was hard to understand him, and
You know, one of the good thing about all this is that you went to your financial person to
uh,
talk about it. He saved you your whole entire life. Let me tell you
he
why.
saved me.
He saved you
I,
because they're training, financial advisors are training for romance scam. Okay. They have to go to this training and everything. I work for a phone company. Okay. And I work with the fraud department.
okay.
So I have to get my training too. And this all happened after I got catfish. So I
Mhm.
understood more and more of
Yeah.
this. But he totally saved your life, honey. And I'm
Oh
so
God.
glad.
I'm so grateful to him. He told me a little later on, he's like, I was afraid to tell you because what if I was wrong and what if I alienated you? And I said, I am so glad you did. And even if you were wrong, I said,
Mhm.
you wouldn't have, alienated me because I would have been grateful that you were looking out for me, you know. So yeah, he saved me from because I was already hesitant, but I still might have gone ahead with it if no one,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
Oh,
But
So
I have another question.
go ahead, girl.
sure,
So
love it.
how long it's been? It's almost like a few months since all this end in December. So we here almost in December, almost a year.
Mhm.
Did you find somebody to love? Or you've
Have I
been
found it?
single?
I've been single. I did go on a few real dates from a dating app. I needed to like, I'm not sure I was really completely ready, but I feel like it restored my faith in humanity. That I met some real men. I'm talking to someone now on Hinge, and then there's somebody at work. We're kind of hanging out and being flirty. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we're
Mm-hmm.
kind of,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yo,
I've done a couple episodes early in my podcast for people who actually did meet on online dating and got married, because I don't want to
yeah,
always give the negative side because it does work. I just
yeah.
went to a wedding in January, one of my sister's friend's daughters. Her and her now husband, they got married, met during COVID on Bumble. And they
Wow.
zoomed like right away and talked and then eventually met in person. And then they got married in January. I
Oh,
would
that's
really like to
awesome.
have them on here. I don't know if I can get them to do that. But I mean,
That would be
and I
great.
like to
Yeah.
show people, hey, this really does work. You just got to do your homework and be very careful, you know?
Yeah. I've messed with a couple scam. I get Facebook friend requests a lot. And oh, I messed with one the other day and I said, "What's your Nigerian name?" And he said, "God bless." And he admitted he was a Nigerian black boy. And I think I was like, "Oh, you're confessing already." I was impressed.
we get them to confess very quick, girl.
Yes, on
Yeah.
my
And
TikTok lives. I mean, I wear them
yeah,
down sometimes. Some are very easy. Okay, yeah, I'm a scammer, and others, no, I'm really Chris
oh, they
Evans. I'm really
stick.
Chris Pratt. I'm really,
Yeah.
no, you're not. Okay, you're talking to a super fan here, or any fake celebrity. And then finally, okay, and then the one guy I had on the other week on my live, and it was like, I FaceTime him, but I wear a blonde wig. I don't, and I go by and I go
Yeah.
by Suzanne Sugarbaker. So yes, I love that show. And so I talked to him and everybody's listening on my live. And my heart did go out to him because he seemed very sincere,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I like I said, I'm not totally heartless. But I mean, not that I'm gonna send him anything, but either he was doing a very good acting job or he was sincere about I don't want to do this. But then again,
Yeah.
after that, I block them, move on to the next
Yeah.
one.
I this guy I just meant I did FaceTime him the other day. I'm like, I gotta see what this guy has to say. And of course, like he's like, I don't want you to hate me.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I won't do it anymore. And I'm like, I don't know if I can believe that. And
They don't.
he asked me for $200 to eat so they could when they got on the call, there was about 4 or 5 of them. And he asked me for 200 so they could eat. I'm like, okay, I thought you were done scamming. But he said, we're very poor over here, and I know that a lot of them are, and he's only 19, and I didn't feel bad that I didn't give him money. I just felt like, wow, don't you have a choice. You don't have to do this. You're
But
starting
the,
out.
but this is the funny part. They say they're poor, but they have iPhone, Apple
I know.
pad.
Yeah.
They have
Great
Apple
Photoshop
computer,
skills.
Photoshop skills. They have
Yeah.
all these tools and everything. And I got the person that trying to catfish me, I tell him, you telling me that you're poor, but you have all these devices. Why
That's a
you
good
don't
point.
sell them
Yeah.
and get money for it,
Yeah.
or go get a cleaning toilets or be a host in a restaurant or
Yeah,
things
my
like
favorite
that.
is get a job at Burger King.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then somebody
Yeah.
goes, I don't think Burger King is in Nigeria. McDonald's might be. But it's more fun
Yeah.
to say Burger King.
Yeah. Something that's not quite
But
as
that the thing
Yeah.
is that they trying to get in your heart with the sadness story,
That's what
with
he was doing.
the oh, my mom is sick and I have to do this because I have to buy her medication. Or we have a lot of the, I go to college and I have to pay for my college. So I I'm not heartless because
Yeah.
I care for people. That's
Right.
why I'm doing this. I'm doing the romance scam awareness or to any type of scam, and I'm trying to help them. But
Yeah.
there are people that are just like that. They get involved and they tell me, "Don't tell me. I know he's a scammer. I just like the way he talked to me. I don't have nobody to talk to me like that." I said, "Listen,
I
that
know it's
is that is sickness. That is a little toxic. I need that you go to somebody that can help you mentally and start making to love yourself. Because if
yes.
you don't love yourself, you can have 20 people trying to find love and neither one they're gonna fulfill you,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
I
So
I've done like a lot of years. I'm 53 now, so I did a lot of therapy in my younger years, and so I was already pretty secure in myself.
mhm.
Um so when I ended it, like I'm like I'll be okay, and I started diving into loving myself even more. I'm like something's still missing. So let's live life. Let's, I mean, God, it's like I used to hang on to money so tight and that didn't work out so well for me. So it's like, yeah, I don't have to blow all my money, but have some fun too, find that balance. And so
Yes.
that's, I feel like this was almost a spiritual awakening for me, that this like, wow, okay, time to
All
Well,
live
I
my life.
have to say,
oh,
all I have to say, if I'm so happy that you don't took that $50,000.
Oh God,
yeah.
I say that every day. Thank God. I'm okay. Like I was able to take out what I needed to pay off those loans right away. There was no interest. I'm not paying anything. So now I have money to, my account went up like 10,000 since then because of the interest. So I'm like, I've got a good job. I'm making, money. I've still got a retirement. He didn't even come close to taking it all. So I'm
Amen.
okay.
Well, on a
Yes.
positive,
Yes.
look at this. You only lost $26,000. The lady
Agree.
we're interviewing tomorrow night, she lost 177,000. You hear, I've read stories. I have friends who send me links. You got to read this. This lady like lost $2 million, and I mean, losing money, I would be crying and I would be bawling. But on the
Mhm.
positive, it was only 26,000, and you
Yeah.
caught it early enough, so
Right.
that it still sucks, but
Yeah.
you know, you can look at it that way. And what you wrote in your bio to me, you made a quick decision to live your life to the fullest and start advocating. I
Yep.
tell everybody that on my lives. I say, look, okay, you've been scammed, and I know it's horrible. And I always offer to talk to them on the phone. But I said, take what you've learned and help someone else. I'm happy to see that you're doing that as well.
I'm
Yeah.
so happy that you are spreading awareness, helping other people through your experience and trying to wake people up because it's not only for women, it's for men too. Men don't come out
Yeah.
that openly because the shame for some
Of
reason.
course.
I don't know
Harder
why.
for them. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm so glad that you're spreading the awareness. I'm glad
Yeah.
that you trying
Welcome to the
to,
team. Welcome
yes,
to the
Yeah. Thank
welcome to
you.
welcome
the
to the
team,
team.
Thank you.
to
Yes.
the
I feel like
I
family,
call the
to the
Godfather a lot.
family,
in
to
the
the
in the
family.
the thank you. Um the improv is such a great balance to this, and everybody knows there, like the teachers, like because I started my level 4 class like 4 days after the scam ended, and I'm like, look, guys, I just got out of a romance scam. I don't know how I'm gonna be, and everybody has been very supportive. So I tell everybody, and everybody's been supportive. I have a great circle of friends and family, and I'm writing a book too. I'm
Well, I'll have you
Yes.
back.
Yeah, it's
Whatever you do, I'll have you back. We'll have you
okay.
back.
I'm calling it When Swiping Right Goes Wrong, Diary of a Romance Scam.
I love it.
Oh,
I
oh my
love
God.
it.
Oh, let me
And I'm
know.
publishing.
I'm gonna buy it.
Okay,
buy
I'll let
it.
you know. I'm getting close to being done. I'm publishing all of our chats so people can see love bombing in real time.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, that's been the hard part is going back through the chats. But when I read them, I'm like, wow. I'm kind of like, yeah, I see how I got caught in this. But then I'm like, I fell for this crap.
Yeah,
I
and
mean, I
how?
understand why I did, but it's so wild reading it. I'm like, wow.
Well,
Yeah, when
whenever
you go
somebody
back,
writes a
when you.
book, like I
Mhm.
got contacted by some lady 4 years ago when I started my podcast. I promote her book all the time. And then I had another lady on, was it earlier this year? She wrote a book about her crazy online dating stories. And I will
Okay.
promote that like crazy. And actually they're like, don't go out and buy the book or get the Kindle book or, so
All right.
please, I
I'll
will
let you know.
definitely read it. And then I'll give you a book report. And then,
Just-
no, not really. But
I'll give you a
actually,
I have a book that hopefully will be coming out in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be a
nice.
very small book. My daughter was helping me with it. Ladies sharing in my TikTok and stuff on social media, sharing their online romance stories of what happened and such. And I kind of talk about, this is how I got involved. I never sent anybody any money, but I got involved in this. And then I give a lot of references of people at the end of the book. Oh, follow these people on TikTok, go to these sites and stuff. So it's only 8 stories. There was a lot of stories, but we had to go through. Some of them just weren't like the complete, like yours is the complete thing. It was just, this is what happened. It's like a paragraph, what that is. So we've got just a few things to put in. We're self-publishing on Amazon right now. So I'll let you know when that's out. So
All right.
yeah, but no, I would love to have you back just to do that. And you want to be a guest co-host, I would love it.
Yeah, that would be
absolutely,
awesome. I feel like I'd be
absolutely.
to help people, just like, I really, really want to help, especially when they think it's their fault. I thought that too. And I'm like, how did I
Yeah.
fall for this? I'm easily duped, but it has nothing to do
Yeah.
with that.
Are you
Awareness is no match for the way they can manipulate. There's no match to how professionally, expertly trained they are. So,
Yeah,
Are you
but
on?
do me a favor, Patsy, send Beth my email so
Oh, I
when
will.
she get it, complete the book and send me a screenshot of your book cover so I
Yeah.
can put
Okay.
it on my TikTok.
Yeah, and
People
I put it
nice.
on all my socials. So
Yeah.
are you
All
on
right.
TikTok by chance, Beth?
I don't do much, but I do have an account. So, and I
Okay.
think I just reactivated it or logged in. So
Okay.
get more.
Well, no, I was
So,
just
yeah.
gonna say, I haven't done this in a couple of months because we've been doing all kinds of stuff. But like I dedicate like maybe 1 or 2 Wednesdays a month to having, if you can go on in a box and come live, have someone in and they like tell their story. And then like people in my chat, some of the ladies, I'll bring in the boxes, people can ask questions. That's something maybe down the road or whatever, but I'm gonna get this out on YouTube probably tomorrow. I don't think I have enough time tonight. My Wi-Fi is so slow.
Oh, that's okay. Yeah.
And but it'll get out tomorrow. And then and like I said, when it gets the podcast as well, I'll try to get that all done by the weekend to get that pushed. And then I'll send you a link and everything. But
Perfect.
you were like a fabulous guest. I am so excited that we met.
Yeah, me too. Me
You
too.
know, it's welcome to the team, and
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
Just any connections I can make. I love it. I've made so many on LinkedIn too. And
Yeah,
so
I'm on
Kathy was like,
LinkedIn, but
Kathy
not
was
for a
like, oh,
job.
we love Patsy. Yeah, I know. Mine's like not a job anymore. It's like all connecting with a lot of fraud experts, victims, it's become about
Yeah,
advocating that page.
yeah. We're both huge fans of Kathy. Kathy and Brian were on my podcast last December.
Okay, nice.
And then Kathy was one of my TikTok guests earlier this year. Although the TikTok, when they're my guests, that portion that they're on, it goes out on my YouTube channel. So like if people can't tune in that night, you can go
Okay.
out there and check it out. I'll send you my YouTube and stuff. But
Okay,
but yeah,
perfect.
no,
Yes.
I have all my videos out there. I have a ton more to add, but I'm just slow to editing. But yeah, no, Kathy is the goddess. She's the queen.
Oh, yeah. I in a good way, in the queen.
yes,
She
yes,
is totally the
The queen.
queen.
Totally
Yeah.
the
yes,
queen.
yes,
Yes.
yes,
Yes, I love her. She's been so great and
yeah.
Every
so
time she posts something new, I reposted. Some people that don't know Kathy, they go to her site and read the news and everything. Right now, October 3rd is the second year of World Romance Scam.
yeah. I love
And
that there's a day for that. I love it.
yes,
Yeah,
it's a
visit
day
her
for that.
site. They have like last year they did like a 1 hour webinar, which was fantastic.
Hmm.
Okay. Awesome.
So
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Reach us when you need to talk, you know, and
Okay.
if you come to LA, let me know. We
Yeah.
can meet
if you're
and
ever in St.
Sure.
I'll
Louis.
show you San Diego.
What was that, Patsy?
If you're ever in St. Louis.
Hey, I did go a few years ago. I was there. So,
We
but
have
if
great
yeah,
Mexican and Italian food.
it's drivable too. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is.
I'd love to come meet you guys at some point. That'd be
Yeah.
great. So
Oh,
lovely.
Thank you
you
so
are
much.
fantastic.
Yes,
Oh, thank
yes.
you. Thanks,
We're
Beth.
your biggest fans now. So but no, thank you so much for coming on here and sharing your story. I know it's not always easy, but I always feel, hey, you can help some other people with your story.
Yeah. And whenever
So
I tell it and share it with people, like I feel revived. Like afterwards, I'll probably be like, let's have a glass of wine, man. I'm feeling good.
yes, I'm gonna
I
have
don't
some
have a wine,
chocolate.
but I have something to drink. So
Yeah, I've got my water and then I'll have some chocolate.
Water and chocolate. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So again, thank you so much. Yvette, thank you for being a
Yes,
co-host again. I
Beth,
really
thank you. Nice
appreciate
to
it.
meet you. Yes,
And
thanks, Patsy.
thank you to everybody that tuned in. I really appreciate all of you coming in. Remember, you can follow me on TikTok, Pink Lady Against Scammers. I'm the one with 29,000 followers, not the other ones because they're pretending to be me. And my YouTube is Patsy391. Yeah, I get people pretending to be me now. And then my YouTube is Patsy3919, where you can see all my videos. And those are the two main places you can catch me. I got a blog, pinkladyagandstscammers.com, but all the good stuff is the videos. So, but visit the blog. But
Yeah.
again, thank you everybody, and be safe out there. And remember, they don't love you, they love your money.